Hi, my name is Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rock Stars. Now, this is where we interview people that are crushing it in this business, and we show you guys really some of the inside workings into how multifamily investors are just, like I say, crushing it and creating massive success in their businesses and, as importantly, probably more importantly, in their lives. And as always, I've got my co-host, who's also the director of our massive action team for the Warrior Group, Mark Nagy. Hey, Mark.
Glad to be here, Rod. I think we're going to get some good gold nuggets today for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So today we've got Frank Patalano. And Frank, I've actually been on Frank's podcast. He's a warrior, but he's got his own podcast called Cash Flow Kings. Love the name. And he was a school teacher. He's now in, over 350 doors as a GP. And I know a bunch as a limited partner as well. He's done deals with Warriors recently. They just closed on one. And so we're going to have some fun today. Welcome to the show, bud.
Thank you, sir. Happy to be here.
All right. Well, listen, why don't we start off as we always do by having you tell a little bit of your story? I mean, school teacher, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
You're a glutton for punishment.
Absolutely. My wife and I were both school teachers in the small state of Rhode Island. And then I also worked a part-time job for many years because we're always worried about, getting that pink slip. And eventually we just started to generate a little bit of cash. And what did I end up doing with it? We could have spent it. We could have, really enjoyed ourselves and blown it. But I love the concept of investing. So I went out there and bought some small multifamilies and some single families and grew from there, one or two a year and just kept growing. Nice.
Now, I know that, you like you say, you started out as single family. Let's talk about why you transitioned, because I did the same thing. And of course, I'm a little slow. It took me a little longer to get the memo on that. But please talk about your experience.
Sure. I mean, I started out with the small multis just because I thought they cash flowed better than the singles. But even those, I've sold off most of those holdings as well. And the single families, I mean, I love them in some ways, but it's kind of hard that when you have a vacancy, you're 100% vacant.
Yeah.
And when they don't cash flow super well in my market at all, I basically held them for appreciation for a while. And then once they were worth double what I paid for them, it's like, I'm not making any cash every month on them. So we just sold them off. And that's
very common. Yeah, that's very common with single family, and it's interesting that you said it the way you said it, because I love them too, but I really do. And I'm so good at single family. I've owned 2,000 rented long term, but and I miss them. Honestly, I actually miss them, but they just don't cash flow. And of course, that's what kicked my ass in 2008 and 9 was the 800 houses that I had. But so you switched over because of the cash flow, and like I did ultimately. I know you've done some deals outside the Warrior program and recently several inside the Warrior program. What role do you play on your team? Where do you find yourself? Because obviously you've got your platform with your podcast, but are you leveraging that? Just speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. So the main thing I am is investor relations. I have been a KP on a number of deals as well, smaller deals, especially, coming out of the school teacher, it takes a while to ramp up that net worth, but we've done okay. And then I'm a networker. You've seen me go around whenever you have either a Warrior meeting or a boot camp, and I always wearing a shirt or something like that, always talking to everybody.
Didn't you give me some T-shirts once?
I don't know, but no.
Okay. I might be confused. I had another Warrior that gave me a bunch of T-shirts at one of my events. I guess it wasn't you, but anyway, yeah, no, you are. Guys, if you're driving, you don't see he's got his Cash Flow Kings T-shirt on, and so he brands himself all the time. But just in case you don't know, you said you were a KP on some deals, and some people may not know what that means. That means key principal, and that means he signed on the debt. And when you're a key principal, that's one of the roles you can play in a deal. Like, these multifamily deals require you to meet net worth requirements. They require you to meet post-closing liquidity requirements, and they require you to meet some experience requirements. But what's great is you can find one person that satisfies all those requirements to be a sponsor. And then, of course, they're going to be a KP in the deal. And so that's why I asked him what role he played. So you've been a KP and you're in obviously investor relations if you've got your podcast, because you can talk about deals. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love it. I mean, I'm up in Rhode Island, so we're not doing many deals up here, smaller properties. So I'm not boots on the ground in any way, but right. I can fill a lot of the other roles.
Nice.
So obviously you're in the Warrior Network now, and obviously you love networking. How do you think being around those other like-minded individuals and doing that networking, how has that changed you, your mindset and the way you do things at this point versus before when you were doing, things on your own, the single families?
Well, I mean, even when I was doing that, I was part of my local RIA, but obviously there's not many syndicators in a small RIA locally. So just being able to hang out, talk, network with people that are looking to keep growing and be bigger and bigger. I had 2 Warrior phone calls today. One's a possible opportunity and the other one's just networking to build that relationship, nice. And they're, even though they're newer, they have some great potential and stuff that I'd really want to work with them in the future on. So it was awesome.
Nice. Yeah. One of the things that we've discovered, oops, I got my email on. One of the things that we've discovered, in the program itself is that our most successful warriors by far are the ones that are the most connected inside. Oh gosh, I'm trying to close it out and it's beeping all over the place. Sorry about that, guys. Anyways, that are most successful warriors, the ones that are the most connected inside the warrior community itself. And we discovered this about 3 years ago. So we do everything we can to, try to help facilitate those connections. Like today we had our biweekly Q&A. And after that, we have, speed dating where you can meet warriors randomly. And then we do the warrior only events. Like I saw you here for that. And then we also connect warriors with warriors that live by them and just do everything we can to help facilitate that. Cause that really is one of the keys to success. It's not what it's who honestly. And would you agree with that? Absolutely.
I don't even speak to brokers. I don't speak to sellers. Every deal that I have found has been brought to me through networking.
Right. Yeah. So talk about a seminar, talk about a setback that you had on this journey. If it's an example of something that people can learn from and add value, you can add some value to.
Sure. I think I would go with like the concept of back to that networking thing and partnerships. Mm-hmm. So you don't know what you don't know. And many times I've tried to go it alone, where I'll either try to buy either a vacant lot to build my own house, or I bought commercial property that was not officially commercial property. But if I had partners on those deals instead of trying to go it alone, it would have been a second set of eyes to really look at that stuff and learn from it. And on the syndication space, I mean, I've been involved in almost 15 deals now, and I haven't lost money on any one. So that power of really being a team sport really helps you link together and catch the mistakes early.
No question. And guys, even if you're not interested in the Warrior program, if you're going to do this business, you need to put together a group that looks at deals together and looks for reasons not to do the deal. You don't want yes people in your group. You want people like, no, did you look at this, this, and this? What about under that rock? And did you make that phone call? And did you do that? Because there's a lot of little nuances here. And if you want to get a feel for the flavor of this, definitely get your butt to one of my boot camps. I've got a virtual one coming up. This will go live before then. It's on January 21st and 22nd, I think. And tickets are still less than $100. And I don't sell anything there. It's kind of a duh if you're interested in this business. So definitely want to do that. So it was the team component for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to back up real quick and focus on a golden nugget that you mentioned that we kind of glossed over, which is you said all the deals you've done have been people bringing them to you. And that's a question I get all the time, right? How do you find deals? What is the network? For the listeners, if you could just kind of logically and simply break that down for the listeners, how that works. Is it that they're the deal finders and you bring a different skill to the table and you just set up a call and happen to work with people like that? How does that work kind of logically where people are bringing you deals?
So it's all about skill sets. and it's all about relationships. So I was in Utah at a different event, and I just happened to go to a few of the local RIAs, meet some people that I knew on Facebook. They're all different people in the syndication space. And one thing led to another, and I said, "How can I help you?" And they said, "We need to help finish this, and you want to be a part of the team." And I knew them like for 2 years online, and I loved the concept, and we helped close the deal. We brought it down.
Yeah. And so there are a lot of things you can do to help. I'm assuming you brought investors and you brought some money to the deal, and you have to be actively involved, obviously, to do that. Correct? Yes. Yeah,
definitely. I helped. I looked over the deal. I turned down a lot of opportunities. I turned down 2 today so far, but with that one, I was able to bring the rest of the money they needed, and I go to every GP meeting and every asset management meeting.
Nice. Yeah, that's super important. And because you can't just raise equity, guys, just so you know. You've heard me talk about that before. But another thing that's super important is, as you're building this or aligning with other team members, if you're going to be involved and be a GP in the deal and maybe even a KP in the deal, you need to know who you're doing business with, because you're going to be in bed with them for quite a while. So it's not like, if you're new off the street, that you're going to bring a deal to somebody and expect to be involved in it, other than maybe a fee for bringing it to you, because there are a lot of people need to get a flavor for who they're dealing with in this business, before they're going to be a sponsor on a deal. And that's why being in a community of people that are proactively doing this, so you can get a feel for who they are and see what their work ethic is and see what they're going to bring to the table. And that's the other thing. I'm sure you agree with this, Frank. You date before you get married. You do one deal together, you see how it works, and if it doesn't work out, I'm sure you've had deals where you're like, man, I'm not doing another one with that person, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's why I usually haven't been part of a full team. People bring me in to help finish out a team. And what's awesome about that, though, is now I have 3 or 4 different teams that send me deals all the time, which is really cool.
Right. And that's really very common. We have the same thing in our, with the deals that I buy. And so it's very, it's nice. I mean, you focus on what you're good at, and that's the thing, guys. In this team sport business, there are a lot of hats you can wear. So he raises equity because he's got his podcast, and obviously plays a role in the back end on an advisory capacity. And then maybe you're the person that brings the deals. Maybe you're the person that loves spreadsheets and does the underwriting. Maybe you're the person that's got some construction or property management or asset management or project management experience, and you're in the asset management piece. So there's a lot of different hats that you can get involved in this business.
Well, one example of something that was really good, though, was we had a deal last year, and I was at an event, and somebody called me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in being a limited partner on it?" And at the time I had some money, so I said, "Yeah, I'll think about it." And then 3 days later, they said, "I need help. I'm $100,000 hard, and I'm about to lose this deal. My whole GP team fell apart. Will you come in?"
Yeah.
And I was able to KP that and raised $1 million.
Fantastic. Yeah, we had this similar situation on an asset in Dallas, a much larger deal, but the guy was about to lose his earnest money. We came in, Powell, who was brought us the deal, and we came in, and I don't know how much we raised, probably about 8 million or 9 million, and brought it home. And it's a deal that's been 100% occupied since day one. We've gotten the value up, I don't know, 12, 13 million at this point in increase. So, screaming deal. And it was, again, the same situation. And that's why, guys, this business is a freaking team sport. Get out there, get connected, meet as many people as you can, because that's how you put this thing together. You just heard Frank say he goes to, he's in a town and he'll go to meetups and just poke around and network. And that's the secret to this. So.
No, I get a lot of questions on what you just mentioned, Frank, as well, which is, raising money, right? Why would people want to give you money? Now, for your typical investor, right? Are you typically raising money from other real estate investors? Are they just regular people that want to get their money out of the 401k? What's kind of your typical investor, and why do they like investing with you in multifamily?
So since I run my local RIA, most of my investors are real estate professionals, which I know is rare compared to the average person that's doing this.
Sure.
I always like to talk about the symbiotic relationship between GPs and LPs, between those active and passive investors. I've been a passive investor in 10 deals. It allows me to get into markets I have no business being in because I have no knowledge, but it's about building relationships and helping put deals to work. So I was invested in Rod's Shreveport deal. That was the first time I met Rod, and I'm happy with it, even though you weren't. I still made money.
Well, you made money. You made money, but it was the bane of my freaking existence. Okay.
Well, that's the beauty about
let's talk about that for a second, because I forgot you were in that. So we bought this 403 unit asset in Shreveport, and now it was actually the one exception. It wasn't brought to me by a warrior. Every other deal was brought by a warrior, but this was brought by a ex-partner that I thought knew what he was doing. He had 4,000 doors. He had his own management company. It was a freaking train wreck. In fact, it took me 8 months to get him out of there. And 8 months in, the pools were still green in a 400 unit asset. So I literally spent months of my life there. You know, when I took it over, it was at $98,000 a month gross income. And when we sold it a few months ago, I got it up to 280, but I had to practically live there. I had to dump $2 million into the thing. And it was just a freaking nightmare. But I don't even want to fly over Shreveport airspace again. If you live there, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean. Okay. So
if you have faith in the active people, you know they're going to do the right thing on that deal. I could sleep at night, no problem at all. I know Rod was able to, but that's the benefit of being a passive investor sometimes. I like doing both, but it's nice when you get this mailbox money, this automatic direct deposit on deals in South Dakota, North Carolina, Kansas City, Missouri. I mean, a lot of other deals as well, besides my own, which is
although you got to check out the operators. I mean, like I said, a lot of other operators with that deal would have crashed and freaking burned. Okay, because we had to put in a lot of money. I had to live there to make it happen. If I hadn't gone there and spent literally months, I'm not exaggerating, away from my bride, which I hated, it would not have turned around. And so, you know, you really got to check out the operator. By the way, if you are a passive investor, I've got a list of questions you should ask a GP before you invest with them, and text GP questions to 72345. So GP questions to 72345, you know, and because you really want to check people out to make sure, and like you know, you do, I'm sure, Frank, before you invest in somebody's, I mean, you're much more seasoned now, but even before you were, you know, you really want to make sure they've got it together, because there's going to be some pain over the next couple of years. People that did bridge debt, that didn't know what they were doing, didn't calculate for interest rate increases, for cap rates to change, and everything else is, you know, there's going to be some pain. There's going to be some opportunity. And I know there's going to be incredible opportunity. So in fact, let's talk about that for a second. What do you think about all that?
So I'm already starting to see a little bit of it just with the raising. It's harder to raise. People are nervous. People are scared. I mean, I've seen deals even before the market changed where we had people that joined the GP and were able to raise nothing. Right. So, you know, with that though, I'm a little excited because, there's opportunities. You can be creative. You couldn't be creative 6 months ago. They wanted so much money down hard. They weren't willing to do any type of seller financing. They weren't willing to give you any money back and anything. Not saying I want to retrade, but they weren't willing to give you $1 on anything, even if you found the mistakes. But now you can be a little more creative with things, and it's pretty awesome. I'm actually
no, you're absolutely right. You can actually have some due diligence instead of going hard immediately. You can have financing contingencies. Talk about this deal you just closed with Warriors. Where was it? In the Carolinas somewhere?
Yeah. So it was just outside of Charleston, South Carolina. It's in Mount Pleasant. Beautiful B/A area. 2 Starbucks within 2 miles and like 5 within 10 minutes.
Oh, that's a critical factor, man. If it's not a Starbucks, if it's just a Dunkin', they're out of luck, man. I'm not buying it.
I think there was a Lululemon within 2 miles as well. But it was just a complete off-market deal. I thank the rest of the GP team for letting me be a part of it. Nice. I'm very excited about it. And we basically were able to raise rents a lot. Just because it was just a perfect situation. There was a bank involved. There was unfortunately a husband that had died. The widow was still running it, and she didn't necessarily need it or want it anymore. And everything fell into place. We were able to raise all the money we had commits within 72 hours for the entire thing, and it was a big deal.
Yeah, that's a good market. It's a good market. Awesome. By the way, guys, if you are interested in the Warrior program, please text the word CRUSH 72345, same that 72345 number, and to apply. Okay. And again, you text the word crush so we can help you freaking crush it in this business to 72345. And we'll check you out. You can check us out. And if it's a fit, hallelujah. And if it's not, you'll still leave that call better than when you started it. But let me ask you another question. If you could go back in time, is there anything you might do differently, Frank, in your journey? I ask this, regularly just to get a feel, because I usually know what the answer is, but I'm curious what it is for you.
There's so many things. Number one, I would have worked a lot harder.
Okay.
Number two, I would have set some goals. I've been able to be successful without having a lot of goals, especially early on. I was just like poking around and doing things. I was working 2 jobs, 7 days a week. Killing myself, and now I do the opposite. I make a lot more choices, and I don't have to work a W-2 anymore, which is really awesome.
Nice.
I love that. And by the way, real quick, I know Frank mentioned the Starbucks. For maybe newer listeners that don't understand the idea behind that. Obviously, we do market research, but there are billion-dollar companies like Starbucks, Whole Foods, et cetera, that spend a lot of money figuring out where to put their locations. And so when they say it's great that there are Starbucks there, that's just kind of an extra little bonus, knowing that these huge companies
let me expand on that
area, right?
Let me expand on that,
yes,
guys.
Please.
So we want to see national retailers around our assets. I don't want to see, Frank's Burgers and Sushi. I want to see Starbucks, Publix, Kroger, Home Depot, Lowe's, big national retailers that, like you say, do their demographical research. I mean, when you're in an area like that has these big players, it's a solid area. So you agree, Frank?
Absolutely, 100%. And especially ones that are tied to the demographic that you're looking to seek out as tenants.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to clarify that real quick. But I wanted to ask you one more question, Frank, because I know we're excited for next year, the opportunity, because we're knowledgeable, we're in there taking action. What have you been doing? And maybe speak to those people that are a little bit fearful, right? What are you doing to overcome a lot of the fear and fear mongering that's going out there in the world? And what would you say to those people that are fearful of a quote unquote recession or drop in real estate, whatever you want to call it?
Well, I haven't really changed what I'm doing. I'm doing the same things I've always done. I'm building knowledge. The more you know, the more comfortable you can be with things. I think one of your mentors, Tony Robbins, does he talk about knowledge is not really power, but action is power. Knowledge is
applied knowledge is a direct quote. Applied knowledge is power. You've got to actually take that and do something with it, which is why most college professors have never done a business. They just don't. And that's why, you're just not going to learn what you need to learn to go out there and crush it in business in most colleges. There may be some exceptions, Stanford.
No, I agree 100%.
But oh gosh, I had a thought there and I forgot what it was. Well, listen, one thing I want to ask you, Frank, is you see a lot of newbies with your RIA, with your podcast, and people calling you and reaching out, and I know you help new warriors and stuff. What would you tell somebody that is sitting here listening to the show that hasn't taken action, that hasn't done anything, to change their life, to make their life better? What might you say to somebody out there sitting on the sidelines that's in the rat race that knows they need to go do something and hasn't done it yet?
There are people every day and every week that sit down and watch hours and hours of sports, or they're part of a different club, or they're out there at the bars every weekend. And that's perfectly fine if that's what you want to do with your life. But if you set yourself to a commitment and take some massive freaking action and just spend a few hours learning about real estate, networking, etc., you can make a big change in your life. And no matter what, whether you make a lot of money or you have a seminar on that first deal, I lost money on my first deal, but you build from it, and it gets better.
Yeah. Well, and you create financial freedom, you create time freedom, you create freedom with your family. It's and guys, we were talking about the market. I was just going to pull up Fox News real quick. We're talking about the market. Oh God, I don't want to get political, but the fact that they released that ball player instead of that Marine in trade for that arms dealer makes me absolutely freaking nuts, but we won't go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, I was looking at some of the headlines in business, and I got to tell you, they're starting to get scary, and there's going to be fear. But here's the thing. Remember Warren Buffett's famous quote, be fearful when others are greedy. There's been greed these last couple of years, but be greedy when others are fearful. Like, here we go. Tight labor market. Numbers of Americans without jobs increases as economy cools. And there's a lot of headlines around, legendary investor Samuel Zell warns of a liquidity crisis. Odds of economy going into recession very high. That's a brilliant guy. Okay, Sam Zell, hero of mine. In fact, I'd love to have lunch with that guy. Lots of layoffs happening. I'm just looking at some of these headlines. So again, not trying to scare you. Those of you listening or watching, get freaking excited. Could be the greatest transfer of wealth we see in our lifetimes if you're up to speed. You got to get your butt up to speed. So if it's multifamily, come to one of my boot camps. If it's single family, go to somebody that teaches that. If it's buying businesses, go to somebody that teaches that. But get up to speed immediately, because once we're in the thick of it, you're not going to be able to capitalize on it. It'll be too late. You've got to learn it now. So anyway, I stole a little of your thunder there, Frank, but I just wanted to get that because we talked about the economy a little bit. I wanted to get that in there, but it's great to see you, brother. And I really appreciate you coming on the show and adding some value. We're working out our boot camps right now for next year. I've got a call tomorrow at 10 o'clock to look at hotels. So hopefully we'll be able to do a live one again. I know your butt will be there. So anyway, we'll see you there, my friend.
I try to make it as much as I can. Sometimes it's tough with the kids and everything else, but yeah. I could have, so one more thing, Rod, I could have chosen any group to be a part of, and I chose the Warrior Program. So,
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. It's become pretty extraordinary. I mean, it's got a life of its own. It's just incredible to see what's happening inside there. I mean, I think we're upwards of 130,000 units owned in the group, and that's all we know of. I keep telling people, hey, you didn't post it in the group to find out, that you closed on a deal. I see it on their personal stuff, and they forget to post it in the Warrior group. And yeah, it's just extraordinary. Anyway, it's good to see you, brother. I appreciate you coming on.
Awesome. Thanks, Frank.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our Warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step, and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our Warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text the word crush to 72345, and we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out. Again, to apply, text crush to 72345.